Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running talk show on computers and technology. Thank you so much for tuning in and happy to have you all here. Hopefully you all had a great weekend and are ready to, well, by the time that we're on, you are wrapping up the day. And hopefully it's been a very productive one and we can make it a little bit better with Computer America. So, for everyone out there that has not had a chance to check out the show notes, today on the program, we have a company called, on the show, of course, called Social Judo. And they make this great application for smartphones, tablets, e-readers, any one of these different devices that, this is going to be obviously more focused towards teens, young adults, kids, things like that. And it's a tool to help facilitate that conversation and really ease them into the internet, because it's something that is so vast, has so much information, has so much content, that to just throw a 10-year-old, a 13-year-old into the deep end of the internet, it can be a scary place. So to help us navigate this, we of course have the CEO of Social Judo, Mr. Ken Smith, here with us, and we'll talk to him in just a moment. But before we get to that, we of course need to mention ComputerAmerica.com. That has anything and everything to do with today's show, including links to our guest website, links to the app, links to any articles or videos or anything that we do in the second portion of the show. It can all be found at Computer America. So if you are working out, if you're driving, if you're just being distracted, well, we got your back. ComputerAmerica.com. And while you're there, be sure to check out the social media contest, which we just gave another prize away, right, this Friday. And we'll have another one this upcoming Friday. And we are giving away from our friends over at Logitech an M720 Triathlon mouse. It's a great mouse, and we hope that you can win it, but you can only win it if you enter at our website, ComputerAmerica.com. And the last thing is to check out the live video portion, where you can, of course, listen to us on the radio. We highly encourage that you do that. But we also have a video portion where you can watch us, and it's just another way to experience the show, where we show off the guest website, we show videos and things like that. Just makes it a bit more of an interactive experience. Check it out right there, live streaming at our website. So, with all of that out of the way, why don't we just jump into our interview here, because this is a conversation that we've had on the show before. It's always one that I enjoy having, because I think that parents can get a little overboard when it comes to protecting their kids from the internet. And of course, there's many, many things that you don't want them going in head first and just finding on their own. But at the same time, you don't want to break that trust that you have with your kid by being, 1984, whatever that novel is, where you're some all-seeing overlord. So to help us with this, and I think to navigate this correctly, glad to have on once again Social Judo and Mr. Ken Smith. So Ken, welcome on to Computer America.
Hey, thanks a lot for bringing me on board, and hopefully we have a good segment to for all the listeners to learn a little bit more about what it is we do, and maybe we can educate them a little bit about how their teens and tweens are using smartphones.
Absolutely, absolutely, because this is, let's face it, for a lot of parents out there, if you have let's just say 12-year-old, then let's say they have at the average age of maybe 25 to 30 years old. They 12 years ago, or when they were tweens, they were nowhere near having the amount of information, the amount of connectivity that they have in the pockets today. So this is completely new territory for all parents nowadays. So, you know, you can't look back at your childhood and say, well, I did things my way and that's the best way. That's just not the world we live in anymore. So why don't we get started first, before we jump into all that, with you, Ken Smith, and you know, give us a little bit of background behind Social Judo. What's your background and why you decided to make a smartphone app?
You know, this is my first attempt at a smartphone app, and I'm a dad. I've got a 16-year-old and a 13-year-old, and I have one of my best friends is just happens to be a brain surgeon, and we share we share kids in common. We're friends, and you know, we were standing on a playing field, a sport field, about a year ago, and you know, watching kids play lacrosse, and there had to have been 300 kids in the stand, and the game was pretty interesting. It was a pretty tight game, pretty close game, and both of us looked almost at the same time at the stands and saw, you know, 300-400 kids who were watching the game, but not one of them was watching the game. They all had their heads down. They were all looking at their phones. And so I said, is it me, or they're not even paying attention? They're not even looking at it's a great game, and they're not even watching it. And we both at the same time said, you know what, you know, this is what our kids do too. And so we decided that, you know, we parent our children on the playing fields, we parent our children at school, you know, we parent our children at home. But the one place that we really don't parent our children is in cyberspace. So we said, you know, we got to get our arms around this, and we set off on a mission to try and find some kind of app or some kind of help to get us to the point where we could at least help our children navigate through what is just an acceleration of information, you know, on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis that is just incredible. So we first went out and looked at all of the various apps that were available, and, you know, we had made our minds up that we didn't want to spy on our kids. We trusted our children. We had, you know, we had parented them, you know, through their younger years, and then we had handed them a device that, you know, allowed them to connect anywhere on the planet at any time. So we started looking hard at the various apps that were available to us, but they kind of brought us back to the point of we had to go and look and see if our children were doing anything crazy, or if they were bullied or being bullied, or if they were looking at nudity, or if they were sharing nudity. I mean, all of the things that we wanted, we found various apps that give us a piece of it, but not the entire picture. And we had made a determination that what we really wanted was an app that would send a text to us as parents if our children were doing something that was wrong or something that was, you know, dangerous. Mm-hmm. And once we found out that we couldn't find it, so we built our own. So, you know, my friend Dr. Phillips, who is a neurosurgeon, is the visionary and said, what if we could do this? What if we could do that? What if we could do this? What if we could do that? I'm a technologist. I work mostly on EasyPass technology, you know, transponder technology. So I started learning about how to build an app and getting my mind around app building. And the more we got into this, the more we realized that, you know, we were building it for each other. So it started with a very simple concept where if our children, you know, triggered a certain algorithm as it relates to profanity, we get an alert. Then that led us to a nudity algorithm, that led us to a bullying algorithm, that led us to a profanity or to a porn algorithm, and it just kept on growing to the point where our neighbors and our friends and our relatives all wanted it after we built it. And then we decided to say, look, there's a major problem out there right now, Ben. There are children who are 10, 11, and 12 years old who, you know, we all know our kids. We all individually know our children. We treat them with respect. We give them the privacy they deserve. And this app isn't so much built for them as it is for the children they interface with that we don't know. Right. So you don't know the 14-year-old that's sending a nude photo to your 12-year-old. You don't know the 13-year-old that's sending a porn link to your 11-year-old. Those are the things you don't know. So we wanted an app that would allow us to intercept that live when it was happening and allow us the ability to either shut off their phone and have a parenting moment, or, make a determination, how to sit our child down and say, there are some bad people in this world, and this device is very powerful. It's one of the strongest communicating devices that's ever been built. And a lot of us as parents, when we go to give our child this phone, we sit them down, we have a conversation, we explain to them, the things that are right and wrong, and we trust them, and we do all the things that parents do to their kids. But, a couple of 3-4 weeks go by, you're busy, I'm busy, we're busy, and the next thing you know, our children are, their heads are down and in this phone 4 to 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
And it becomes, what are you doing? Right?
This is
what are you watching on YouTube?
Yeah, right. I mean, this is but you lately touched on a conversation that we've had on the show before, and again, I like having it. And you said that you started out by saying that we aren't looking to spy on our kids, we aren't looking to monitor their every movement, their every step into cyberspace, but you did want to be alerted. You did want to be warned when something that maybe you didn't give permission to, or something that they shouldn't be doing. You wanted a warning when that would happen. So, I mean, how much, and just kind of speak to our audience here. I mean, how much of this is about spying on your kids, and how much of this is about enabling, as you just called it, those teachable moments?
I would say, at our core, we made a commitment to each other. We're a couple of dads, so, and we're both fairly intelligent. I mean, you don't get to be a neurosurgeon without being a pretty smart guy. So, right. we said, look, we want to respect our children's privacy. By the same token, we want to be alerted because they're children. So, my partner, the neurosurgeon, can explain the neuroscience behind the developing adolescent brain, but the reality is that they're not fully matured. They're impulsive. Smartphones are addictive. Children get to the point where if the phone makes a certain kind of noise or a certain kind of alert noise, they have to look. It was more a case of, making the determination. We don't want to spy on our children, but we want to be able to, be alerted if the bullying algorithm is triggered. So if my child is being bullied, I want to know. If my child is actually bullying somebody, I want to know that too.
Yeah.
And if my child is, in a group chat conversation with somebody who is bullying somebody else, I want to know that too, so that I can then have that conversation to say, this is what, this is why I'm a parent. So when my child was 3 and 4 years old, I'd hold his hand or her hand and teach him how to cross the street and look for cars going both ways. That's my job. I'm a parent. And so my job now is to help them navigate cyberspace, or help them navigate this internet that is just so wide open. And there's the neurosurgeon, who's my partner, says we want to establish the paradigm of parenting in cyberspace. And the way to do that is to first have users use the app so that now children don't know if their children don't know if their friends' parents are using Social Judo. And Social Judo, the name Social Judo implies exactly what we wanted it to imply, which is we're using the power of the internet against the power of the internet. So we're attempting to take all of the good parts of the internet to help us balance off all the bad parts of the internet.
And I think that's a good way to segment into just what it is that you've accomplished here, because so far you've mentioned algorithms, you've mentioned smartphone apps, but what does your product actually look like? Is Social Judo like the portal that you access your phone through and then everything else gets filtered through that, or is this something that runs you know, kind of surreptitiously in the background. Why don't you go through, of course, downloading the app, and then what users will actually find when they use it?
So we have an app that is used both on iOS and on Android. We don't require you to jailbreak your phone or to root your phone. The parent downloads an app onto their phone, and the parent, goes into, gets logged into a parent portal where they can put in the information about their child's phone. So, the listeners should understand that the phone that the child uses, for the most part, almost always, is a phone that is purchased and paid for by the parent. So legitimately, I guess legally, that phone belongs to you.
Right.
And so, you give it to your child, they call it their phone, and, if anyone's listening to this program right now, they know that if you have an 11 or a 12-year-old and you take that phone away for an hour, you're in World War VI, because the entire social paradigm of children has changed over the past 6-7 years. What used to be, we would all know the neighborhood we grew up in, we'd all know the kids in our neighborhood, our parents would know the parents of the children that we knew. All of that's changed. So, children have a smartphone, and they have become friends with kids in other schools, in other states, in some cases in other countries.
Oh, for sure.
And so it's not, it's very difficult, but once the parent puts the app onto their phone, it does lead them back to the parent portal, where there are maybe 8 or 10 major features that we showcase in a dashboard. That same exact dashboard is actually what's on the parent's phone. So they're pulling data from the parent portal. In the parent portal, we have an app, on an Android app, that goes onto a child's phone. That Android app pulls the data from that child's phone and presents it back into what we call the Social Judo cloud, and it's there that you can look at the information real time on the parent portal or on your phone. If you so desire, you can sit and watch it, right?
Yeah, and let's get into some of these features, because as I'm sure it sounds like you did a lot of work, really figuring out how to get this to work effectively. Is that apps aren't just kind of everyone uses one app. There's a lot of different apps. They have new ones come up all the time, and it's not hard to find a free app that that kids want to download. So let's take something as inane as, let's say, text messaging or messenger apps. Some people use text messaging. Some people use programs like Kik or WhatsApp. Are you restricted to like Social Judo Messenger, where like everyone else has to go to Social Judo Messenger, or can kids still go to the apps where their friends are?
Oh no, they go to the apps where their friends are. So we integrate with WhatsApp. We integrate with Kik. We integrate with artificial intelligence. So we use AI to assist us in the analysis of the information that we collect. So the app was built in a way that the parent has the app on their phone. They get they get to the parent portal, and there is there's some heavy security that means that the parent can only look at their portal. If I give you my username to my parent portal, you couldn't. It's encrypted, so you can't see it. So the reality is that the information that your child collects on their phone goes into the Social Judo cloud, where it's encrypted. Your phone, your parent app, allows you to see it unencrypted, and the data of your child is secure. It's your child's information. We protect it like we're dads, so we want to protect our own information too. So, the reality from our perspective is, with text message monitoring, you can make yourself crazy if you wanted to look at every single text of a 14-year-old, because they text 400 to 600 times a day. So, But if during the period of those texts, if there were some triggered alerts that came to you as a parent because, there was excessive profanity, or if there was excessive, bullying, you would want to know. And you then have a parenting decision. Do I stop this? Do I allow this to continue? Do I sit my child down? Do I turn off their phone? What do I do? So it just encourages a base of communication back to your preteen or teen that allows them to, be independent, but at the same time, just like when you're holding the hand crossing the street, you're looking for cars going both ways. They're not mature enough to understand the serious complexities of the internet. Yeah. So, we have the ability for a parent to enter their own alert phrases and key terms if that's what they want to do. If they, so we have a location tracker where a parent can see where the phone is at all times and build geo-tracking, so geofencing. So you can make it so that your child, if he or she, enters into the area around the mall, you geofence the mall, and you've said, I don't want you to go to that mall, but they do, then you get an alert to your phone. Your child has just gone to the XYZ mall.
I'm glad that you brought up a little bit earlier the fact that, security is so important to you because, it's been like 5 minutes, and I can tell this is a very, very powerful application that can tell, what they're saying, what they're doing, who they're calling, and even, at, yes. like you just mentioned, at this point, where they are. So if you could just touch a little bit more about, how secure this is. Like, is anything stored on your servers, or let's say someone tries to add themselves to the parent portal and tries to get on their phone. I mean, how hard is it to, maybe the wrong person to see your child's data?
Well, the reality is that we, our backend servers are Amazon Web Services. So we're on AWS. We deploy our systems there. We have some very robust, Israeli encryption that we use in relationship to our stuff that we deploy. We make it rather difficult, and if someone attempts to do something, we get alerted ourselves as developers. But we're dads, so we wanted our information to be as secure as we could possibly make it. And so we studied hard all of the security encryptions that the neurosurgeon understands, because he's deep in the HIPAA compliance, and I'm deep in PCI compliance, and so we're looking at the various levels of security that we can deploy. I don't want to give away too much because anybody who wants to dig hard enough can attempt to do something to you. So,
of course.
All I can say is we built this as dads for our own kids, and so we have invested heavily in our security and into our security environments, both on our app, on our app side of the house and on our data side of the house,
right?
So that we can, I can go to sleep tonight knowing that I've done probably everything I can possibly do to ensure that the encryptions and the data is as secure as I can possibly make it.
Right. So, and just going over, a couple more of these features of this application, because like I said, very robust, and everyone, if I'm getting this right, socialjudo.com, very, very simple, link over at Computer America to Social Judo, or just head on over there directly. But I see one here that I have not heard anyone else kind of offer, and I guess it's, just kind of how, it speaks to the control that you have over the, over the child device, and you can actually block applications. So, I mean, are we talking like you can see something going on and you can immediately close it for the child, or do you block them just from the beginning? I mean, how do you block, or not even how, but, why do you have this feature to block applications?
Well, let's just say for the sake of this conversation that there is something that your child is. I'm going to give you one example. Sure. There is an application known as Calculator Percentage. Are you familiar with that, Ben?
Yeah.
Okay. So children have this application. Preteens and teens, for the most part, have an application. Some have this application. They put it on their phone. It's really not a calculator. It's it's a file server. It's a file storage. It's where they put the stuff that they don't want you to see. So, when you put judo onto a child's phone.
And by the way, I take that back. I thought I knew about calculator percentage. So, there you go.
Well, yeah, so calculator percentage is an app that looks like a calculator. If you look at it on your child's phone, it looks just like a calculator. But they put in their 4-digit code, and the next thing you know, they're actually in a file serve. So they can save photos, they can save videos, they can save images, they can save text. Anything they want to save, they can put in there. And so if you are a parent that doesn't use some form of, monitoring, systems, and you go on their phone at 10, 11 o'clock at night because they're asleep, and you look at their phone, it looks like a calculator. But the reality is it's not, right? And that's one of when you talk about, when you talk about, teens and tweens using smartphones, the reality is that the kids are being bombarded by they're bombarded by apps. There's new apps coming out every day, as you probably know, right?
Yeah.
So
you can take control of that using the application blocking. It's just if you see something that you don't.
If you as a parent you can block that app, and if you block that app, the child says, well, okay, I'm going to delete it, and then I'm going to reload it, right? Because you've blocked it. So our developers think like 14-year-olds. Like, okay, so you deleted the app and you've reloaded it, so that you get an alert. Hey, they just reloaded the app. Right. So you can see in real time, so that you'll understand in real time. Instant access to cyberspace via smartphones has dramatically changed parenting. As a parent, I'm sure the parents who are listening to this, they worry and wonder what they can do about, this is a very complex problem. This isn't a very simple problem, right? And we all see the daily news stories about, kids who have been bullied, or kids who, in the worst case scenario, kids who have committed suicide based on cyberbullying. So, the reality.
Really, to speak to your point, the reality of the situation is that we have these devices, they're in our pockets, and it's not just about, ease of access, but it's the fact that, communication happens 24/7, be with their friends, be with people they don't know, and it's not just, something happening in their phone, it's something that's happening in their life. It really does hit home.
Well, listen, we as I explained earlier, we parent our children at home, we parent them at school, we parent them on the playground. But what do we do to parent them in cyberspace? It's a legitimate question that every parent should ask themselves. What are we doing with our children who are spending 4 to 6 hours on their phone? Do we know what they're doing? Not to the point of, do we need to be a spy onto them? Do I have to know, what questions or what conversations my kid is having with their friends? I really don't. But but if my child is having a conversation with my 13-year-old daughter is having a conversation with a 14-year-old boy in Pakistan, I think I'd want to know.
Yeah.
If because is it really a 14-year-old boy in Pakistan? I don't know. So, there are certain things that that phone allows them to go anywhere on the planet, right? And so we set out to develop an app that is technologically advanced, and it leans forward into the swarm of new teen apps, right?
So and
they're coming at an accelerated pace, right?
Right. And Ken, if you don't mind, would you mind staying over for a couple minutes to give this a proper send-off? I'd like to ask you about things like the live view and about these Facebook Live presentations you're doing. Would you mind staying over a couple minutes?
Absolutely.
Oh, perfect. So everyone else out there, the music means we have to take a break. We'll be right back with more Computer America, more Ken Smith, and more Social Judo. Everyone, please go check out computeramerica.com. We have links to everything, and of course we have a whole section for podcasts. So you know, if you want to take Computer America, if you want to take this show, past shows, any show with you on the go. And hey, we're now on iHeartRadio. Check that out. Computer America will be right back after this.
We are all Brother Wolf. 10 years ago, a group of locals banded together to create positive change. We took animals into our homes, held adoption events at local retailers, and talked to the community about our mission to help build a no-kill Asheville. A decade later, we have achieved so many victories for animals in need. There's been so much progress, yet there's still so much to do. As part of our year-long celebration, we encourage you to become a member of our special Compassionate Circle program. With a monthly donation of $10 or more, you will have behind-the-scenes access to the work we are doing at Brother Wolf. Our goal is to reach 1,000 members because we receive no government funding. Working together, we can help build and sustain no-kill communities. Learn more at compassionatecircle.bwar.org. We are a 501c3 tax-deductible organization.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show, 31 minutes past the hour, as we have Ken Smith continuing on with us just for a little bit more about Social Judo. An application, it does so many things to, you know, as we mentioned before, you know, hold your child's hand into the age of the internet, because it can be a very scary place. And you know, there's always that one kid, like it's not just about, well, my kid would never, you know, purposely search out XYZ offensive material, but there's always that one kid, there's always, you know, the chain of communication that just kind of drags everyone down, and viral content is viral content, and offensive content, you know, gets shared very easily. So it's good to have something like this. So, but like I mentioned, Ken, before we had to take a break, you know, all these different, you know, factors can be found on your website, but I see you have a new one coming up here, and live view coming soon. What, you know, what did, you know, what gaps did you feel that live view would kind of fill in by bringing it to the application?
Live view was live view is a feature that we're working on. You know, you can view the screen in the instant location of any phone that you know, of the phone that the child is using. It allows you to, you know, view the child's screen live, and allows you to see the instant location. We already have a location. We were asked by parents for this particular feature, if it's possible, and we're not 100% sure. It's still in our skunk works, so we're still trying to make a determination if, you know, we're giving it the best shot to see if we can make it both iOS and Android compatible to make a live view capability. And we think, you know, we ask parents, what kind of features do you want? What do you want to have? You know, some parents ask us to develop various features, and we kick it around back here at development headquarters and see. But enough parents have asked us for live view so that they have an opportunity, if they get an alert, they could then look and see if the child is actually still doing what it was that the alerts told the parent to view, and then we have a feature where the parent can actually turn the phone off and lock the phone.
Right. Yeah, and of course, speaking to one of those features I'm sure was asked for, and this is going to aim, I hope, a little bit older than the tween market, but texting and driving, I've had numerous friends in their mid-20s. I just started seeing it in the mid-20s, and of course with some of my older friends, that's whenever I text them and they happen to be in the car, they have like a driving mode that they can kind of switch on and says, I'm sorry, I'm not able to get to the phone, I'm currently driving, blah, 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 you know, some pre-recorded message. And it's good to see that you've included something similar. Can you tell us about what your texting and driving prevention kind of entails?
Our texting and driving, prevention was specifically geared, again, we're a couple of dads, we have 16-year-old sons. They've gone through the process of driver's education. They now have a permit. And if a parent's listening to this who has a 16-year-old son or daughter, their knuckles are as white as mine. So the reality is that they're under, you know, they're undereducated drivers. I mean, they're just underexperienced. And so the neurosurgeon has seen, you know, real-time cases of distracted driving. And it's really prevalent in the 16 and 17-year-olds who get their licenses, and they're inexperienced drivers. They're addicted to this phone. They hear a specific sound. They have to look up. They have to grab their phone and look at it. They look at, you know, FaceTime. They look at Snapchat or Instagram or WhatsApp, Uvu, whatever. And during that period of time that they're looking at that phone, the second and a half, 2 seconds, a lot of times they drift out of the lane that they're currently in on a highway going 50, 60 miles an hour. And when they look up, they realize what they've done, and they overcompensate to get back into the lane they're supposed to be in, and the car ends up flipping. And that ends up being either that or they rear-ended somebody. So as a result of us, again, we're a couple of dads. You know, we built this specifically for ourselves, but now other parents are using it too. It's a transponder that fits on your windshield. Your child gets in the car goes 2 miles an hour. The only thing that their child can do with that phone is call you, Dad, call his mom, or call 911. Can't do anything else.
That's nice.
Nothing else works on the phone. If you text them, you get a message back, hey, I'm driving. You know, when I'm done driving, I'll call you. If you try to Snapchat them or Instagram them or FaceTime them or anything, it just doesn't work. And, you know, to my 16-year-old son, I'm probably the dad from hell because, you know, I'm the one that's like, look, you know, this is how I hold your hand going across the street. When you're an 18-year-old driver, you don't need this anymore. 19 years old, maybe you don't. But I'm an adult, and you know what? I'm guilty sometimes myself, as probably you are and lots of your listeners, to, you know, looking at your phone inadvertently because it's addicting. And so, but as a teenager, as a 16 and a 17-year-old, they're inexperienced behind the wheel of a 2-ton vehicle. Means that, you know, we need this kind of development, this kind of application that allows me to know that when they're driving, they can call me, and my son can call me, and he can call his mom, and he can call 911, and I can call him, but nothing else works.
Right.
And that gives us gives me a level, you know, and as he gains more maturity and as the neuroscience of his brain development allows him to gain more brain maturity, then, you know, possibly he can wean himself off of that in the next couple of years.
Yeah,
But lastly, let me talk to your audience and say that every Thursday night, Eastern time, at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, on the Facebook page of Social Judo, we have a cohort of social workers led by the national expert on cyberbullying and the national expert on children with smartphones, Andrea DiFilippo. And we do a Facebook Live presentation. We're doing 20 cities in 20 weeks. We've done Kansas City and Denver and Boston and Long Island, New York. And this week we're doing Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and Boca Raton, Florida. And we talk to the parents in that particular geography, but anybody can come and watch it. But in that particular geography, we talk about cyberbullying, what you can, and again, this is a licensed clinical social worker talking, not me. So she understands her clinical practice is dealing with children who have been or who are part of cyberbullying. So she says, these are the things to look out for, you know, behavioral changes in your child. All of a sudden, your child's not interested in their phone. Something's not right. You can kind of sense as a parent your child. We each know our children, but you sense something's not right. This is kind of a way to wake up as a parent. It's not necessarily come buy our app. We don't care what app you buy. You just need to be smart about the fact that children using smartphones, it's a totally different environment than when you and I were, you know, in middle school or in high school. Things have completely changed. And as a parent, we have a responsibility and an obligation to protect our children. And this is what we're trying to do.
Yeah, it definitely seems like this is a cause that is beyond just selling an app for parents. This is something that you obviously believe very strongly in, and so does your, so does your partner. Yeah. And very, very good to hear that. That's not just about, it's not just about the product, but it's about changing the face of parenting with the internet, because, like I mentioned, this is new. Like, you can't ask your grandparents, well, how did you raise your how did you raise your kids, and keep them off of porn sites? Like, that just wasn't an issue for any other generation.
No.
So this is new stuff.
Well, first of all,
yeah.
so, and we can close with the idea of, listen to this, and this was a conversation I had with a parent about an hour ago. You cannot have a child unsee something that they have seen. If a child sees something, you can't unsee it, right?
Right.
Oh, you can't have that child unsee it. The only thing you can do as a parent is try to have a conversation and give your best parental, counsel about what has just happened to them in relationship to, say, porn. So, sex without love is something that is very difficult for a child, a young 12-year-old, to get their mind around. And so, you want to have the ability as a parent to at least know, at least be told. If you don't know and the child has that experience and they don't tell you, what does that mean? Well, you've missed a parenting opportunity. You've missed a parenting moment. You've missed an opportunity to educate and give some of your wisdom to your child, which is basically what we as parents try to do all the time. They may accept it some of the time, but we're trying, there is no manual on how to how to parent your child in cyberspace. No one's written the book. No one's, you can't go online and say, how do I parent my child using a smartphone? Well, there's 50 different ways that 50 different parents would do it. And all we've done with Social Judo is say, look, you don't have to spy on your kid, but you should know if this happens. Whether you do something about it or not, we're not telling you how to parent your child. We're just saying, maybe you should know about this. You're the parent. You should know. If you want to, whatever you do, that's your parenting time, your parenting moment, your parenting decision. It's not ours. And that's why a couple of dads got together and said, at least if we knew, we could then do X, right?
Right.
But I can't do anything about what I don't know.
So yeah, definitely a good place to wrap it up. So let's get into the nitty-gritty once again. iPhone, Android works for, I'm assuming, all the most recent versions of these operating systems. How much does it cost?
Yep. It's $14.95 a month, and it covers up to 6 kids and mom and dad. So it's one fee, covers an entire family.
I gotcha. So yeah, very, very cool product. And again, everyone out there, socialjudo.com. And of course, we have a link to it over at computeramerica.com, directly to it. And, Ken, I want to thank you so much for being here with us. Great interview. Sorry for keeping you over, but it was a lot of fun having you on. And really, keep up the good work. It seems like you're doing a lot.
Well, I appreciate it. And to all the parents who listen to the program today, Ben, I hope we've educated them a little bit, and I hope that, they can wake up to the idea that there's some things that they should know, whether they use our app or whatever they do, right? However
Absolutely.
they do it. It's just more about an educational wake-up call.
Absolutely. So, yep. And again, check that out if you want to learn more. And if you missed any part of this interview, computeramerica.com, and you can find the video archives, the audio archives, and everything in between. So, Ken, with that, I'm going to say thank you so much for being on. And please, when you have a new announcement, a new product, come on back to Computer America. Love to talk to you once again.
Thanks, guys, and thank you to the audience that was listening today. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you. So, everyone, once again, Ken Smith, CEO of Social Judo. And, yeah, have a great one. All right, bye-bye. And there he goes. So, everyone, there you have it. If you are a parent of a teen, you know the struggle. The struggle is real, and you know what is happening out there. It's not the easiest thing in the world to navigate. And luckily, there are applications that, just as there are applications to circumvent you, there are applications to, open those lines of dialogue, open those lines of communication, and help you with this whole thing that is parenting. All right. Now, before we get into computer and technology news, I have something to mention from one of our sponsors, and this is from ZipRecruiter. So, are you hiring? Do you know where to post your job to find the best candidates? Well, it can be difficult. It can be difficult to search through hundreds of different applications, especially if it's in a very dedicated, specific field, because it's not just the first one it's not just the first piece of paper that comes across your desk that you want. No, you want to find the best one, and you want to find them fast. Well, now enter ZipRecruiter, where with ZipRecruiter you can post your job to 100 plus job sites with just a single click. Then their powerful technology efficiently matches the right people to the job better than anyone else. And that's why ZipRecruiter is different, where unlike other job sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you, it finds them. Kind of like a reverse Google kind of thing. And in fact, over 80% of jobs posted on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just 24 hours. That's fast. So, no juggling emails or calls to your office. Simply screen, rate, and manage candidates all in one place with ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use dashboard. Now, for our listeners, we have a way that you can post your jobs on ZipRecruiter, find the right candidates fast. All you have to do is go to ZipRecruiter.com/free trial. That's right. Find it fast. Try it. No strings attached. Try it immediately. And again, that is ZipRecruiter.com/free trial. Give it a try. It may be just what you're looking for. And hey, you may just find that special someone for that job position. But at any rate, there you have it, ZipRecruiter. Check them out. And hey, tell them Computer America sent you. Now, with that being said, let's jump into computer and technology news. And yeah, this is a segment for anyone who is new, for anyone and everyone. This is about policy. This is about gadgets. This is about new technology. This is just, science sometimes, if we can throw it in there. In fact, I'm actually going to go look for an article right now that I really want to get to, but it's a lot of fun. So check it out, computer and technology news. All right, and so for our first story, we are going to do this one. And yes, of course I'm ad blocking, but this is for this is one, and it's more about science. This is, of course, I think the highest application that technology can possibly do. But at the same time, it's really cool, and hey, it's happening today. So NASA, they don't do a lot of live streaming stuff, but they're going to do some live streaming events today. And here we have the Juno spacecraft. For those of you who don't know, this is the satellite. This is the spacecraft that has been taking pictures of, some very, very, very detailed pictures of Jupiter. And, the entire planet, it looks like a lot of fun. It looks like a very marvelous planet. I won't knock it for that. But there's one very specific spot on Jupiter that we care about probably the most. And that's the big red spot, the great red spot. Whatever designation you need to give this red spot, you know what I talk about when I say the red spot. It's a giant hurricane, and it's a giant swirling storm that is hundreds of years old and has a diameter of about 10,000 miles. That's larger than Earth, folks. That's a big storm. That's a big whopping storm. So now we're having a close-up of just what this is, and maybe get some more detail about just what is happening in the clouds. And again, this is more astronomy and that kind of thing, but again, this is the highest application of technology that you can get. So here you have it. This is an article from The Telegraph, and Sarah Napton saying that Jupiter's mysterious great red spot is probably the best known feature of Jupiter, and saying that this monumental storm has raged on the solar system's biggest planet for centuries. And now Juno and her cloud-penetrating science instruments will dive in to see how deep the roots of the storm go, and to help us understand how this giant storm works and what makes it so special. Because, again, it's kind of an oddity. And here we have it saying that all 8 of the spacecraft's instruments as well as its imager, will be on during the flyby so that the most detailed images ever taken can be sent back to Earth. So for those of you who don't know, the spacecraft was just sent 6 years ago and is just now taking pictures of Jupiter in all of its glory. And they said that early science results from NASA's Juno mission portray the largest planet in our solar system as a turbulent world with an intriguingly complex interior structure and has a great polar aurora and huge polar cyclones. They have pictures out there. You should definitely check them out. They are stunning. But in the run-up to the flyby, telescopes in Hawaii have been focused on the spot to provide information on the atmosphere, and that the most recent telescope observations show that it has a cold and cloudy interior but warms up towards the outside. A region to its northwest is also chaotic. But yeah, as I understand it, NASA will be live streaming this event, if I'm not mistaken, sometime really, really, any hour now. If you are listening to this in sometime in the future, well, it's already happened, and expect some great photos to come from this, because it's one of the coolest features in our entire solar system, and we're finally getting that all-important close-up. All right. Now, let's see. Let's jump over to, we have a lot of different stories. We're not going to be able to get to all of them, but let's try to get to some of the most important ones. And for that, why don't we do deals? I like deals. I don't know about you folks, but deals make you feel like that you are getting, something of value for not a lot of money. Well, last year, Amazon Prime tried to do that with Prime Day. And it was more like, a garage sale. Someone cleaning out the world's largest garage and had no real good deals. Well, I guess Amazon is trying to flip that on its head by teasing some of the best discounts first. I know they did last time and there weren't enough, but hey, this time it could be different. So this is coming from CNET, and yeah, the first Prime Day deals have been revealed. And if you have been anxious or kind of hesitant to jump into the Amazon Echo or the Echo Dot or anything like that, the prices on those devices are being slashed by more than 50%. Right. So things like the Echo are going to be on sale for $90. The Echo Dot's going to be on sale for $35. And it's going to be much, much cheaper and affordable than even Google or the HomePod, Apple's HomePod. Very, very affordable. Also on sale are things like the Amazon Fire TV, which is down to just $400 for a 55-inch TV from $650. Saying that in addition to price cuts on Fire tablets and Kindle readers, shoppers will also find discounts on Sony headphones, Bissell vacuums, Libratone wireless speakers, and August smart locks. So lots of smart technology there for the taking, but you have to be cautious, because obviously they're going to cherry pick some of the hottest items, and Amazon knows what the hottest items are going to be. These are probably going to be in limited quantities. Obviously they can only sell as many as they have. I think that the Amazon Echo Dot and Tap are going to be as affordable as they can make them, and they're going to be as available as they can make them, because the returns on things like the Amazon Echo and the Dot and the Tap, those returns are much longer lasting than just the initial purchase. So I bet you those are going to stick around. But for everything else, probably in limited quantities. And we have a link to this in the show notes with the full range of sales. But you have, just simple things. Like, again, $100 off of the Bissell vacuum cleaner, 40% off of Crayola, Connects, toys and crayons and things like that. 30% off Adidas apparel, so clothing. They have even jewelry. I hope that they can make this one better, because last year the only deals to be found, the only deals to be had were on smartphone cases and, laptop bags and things that people just really don't get that excited about. So let's see if they can do it better this time around. And let's see, the day that all this is actually going to happen, let's see, Prime Day 2017. Probably up at the start of the article. So here we go. Amazon Prime Day is, wow, doesn't even give a date. All right, let's, here we go. So it's 30 hours starting July 10th. Oh, so 6 p.m. July 10th, and then running through, running for the next 30 hours. So starting today. Check it out. Prime deal, maybe just what you want. All right. Now, speaking of deals, we have time for one more story, and we're going to get this in. Oculus Rift. VR has not taken off, has not conquered the world like we thought it would, and unfortunately, a lot of that has to do with the cost, with the price. The technology is pretty good, obviously, room for improvement, but at the same time, it's just too darn expensive. Well, Oculus seems to be heading in the right direction as they have cut their prices once again, and now half the price the company was charging for the same hardware less than 5 months ago. That's right, instead of $800 for the Oculus Rift, you can now pick one up for $400 for the Rift VR headset. And they said that the discount will last 6 weeks, so it's not a full-fledged, but hey, for 6 weeks, if you've been on the fence, this may be the thing to push you over. And they said that it was only March 1st when they dropped it to about $500, and since then they've dropped it another $100, and now it's up for $399, which I think is a great price point. I mean, it's new technology, but consoles don't have a problem selling at that, and this is an entirely new piece of technology. This is where it probably should have been. All right, so they said that the sudden price drop was due to such a severe price reduction could signal that Oculus is having trouble moving Rift headsets and/or touch controllers in sufficient volume. And while the Rift was back ordered for months as early adopters snapped up the initial pre-orders, they said that anecdotal reports suggest retail's interest has waned in recent months. And they said that today's price drop may simply reflect the lowered cost of components that are now over a year older and likely being produced at more significant scale. And, that goes into some of the background of this, but hey, the other conclusion one can draw from this is that just maybe, this is some sort of house clearing event where Rift 2.0, Oculus Rift's successor, could be on the horizon. And they say that, when it comes out, they say that's when we think the scale will really go. The goal will really scale, maybe. I don't know. And hopefully you'll get millions of many more people playing VR. And Oculus's 4th annual Connect convention in October could provide a good opportunity to announce new hardware. So take that with a grain of salt. Hey, maybe there's new hardware on the horizon. Regardless, if you've been looking to get into, Oculus Rift,
90 seconds.
This could be a great time to do just that. So everyone, we're just about out of time. Thank you so much for tuning in to Computer America here, and glad that you could join us. Please check us out tomorrow as we have on the show. Let me just get this right. Tomorrow on the show, Project Franchise. This is a company that was supposed to be on last Friday. We're going to get them on tomorrow. And they are a company dedicated to changing
60 seconds.
To changing football as you know it. It's kind of mixing fantasy football with an online game. It's a lot of fun. So you don't want to miss that tomorrow, Project Franchise. And of course, we have a whole week of shows. Check back every day, Monday through Friday, here on Computer America. So with that being said, once again, thank you Social Judo for being on the program. And thank you everyone out there for listening to Computer America. Have a great day. Catch you tomorrow. Bye-bye, everyone.
10 seconds.